Welcome to Crafty Little Beach. This is Julie. Today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you. I'm going to do a Patriotic Sailboat DIY with some driftwood. This is a sign I'm using. This is the one from the Shore Living line a couple of years ago, but you could do it with the current one because we're pretty much covering a lot of the stuff up anyway. And I'm also using this fun blue with white star fabric that I found at Dollar Tree. You can also use scrapbook paper or maybe print out that pattern for your sale. They also had it in white I was showing you. I am going to use the little blue part they have on there just because why not? It's going to go with 4th of July, right? And then I found this great fabric at the Dollar Tree. It is the blue with white stars, like a traditional flag pattern. And I thought we could use that to maybe cover like one of the sails to make it look like a little patriotic sailboat to go with my decor. So I'm just going to try to cut down a little piece that's going to be big enough for one sail. And then I'm going to flip it over, kind of lay my sailboat on there where I can kind of draw like the pattern for the fabric out on the back with just an ink pen. You kind of can't get to all of it, but you can get a pretty good idea of where you're going to need to cut that. So I'm just going to use a ruler to kind of fill in the blanks. And then we can just cut out a little star. You could also use, if you had like a blue and white star scrapbook paper, or sometimes they have like those little paper party banners at the Dollar Tree that kind of have this pattern as well. But anytime I can use fabric on a DIY, I love it because it does provide a fun little texture. So we're going to cover up kind of that busy sail with just like a more simple star pattern. So I just do a thick layer of Mod Podge all over my sail, and then we can glue down the fabric, sealing that on. And it's okay if some of the fabric or the Mod Podge kind of seeps through. It should dry clear. I usually like to kind of go over it with a baby wipe, kind of encourage it to kind of come through the fabric a little bit. And then I'm going to just Mod Podge over the top of it as well, just to make sure that it stays secure and it has kind of an even sheen with the matte Mod Podge. Kind of wanted to go with like a coastal feel. Now for the base of the sailboat, I kind of need something that's gonna make it like stand up. So I'm just gonna use like one of those little wood block signs from the Dollar Tree. This is kind of a shorter version. You can use whatever you've got, any kind of craft wood or anything like that. And then we're going to go with driftwood for the boat. So you guys know I love the driftwood from Target. I get it like back in their home decor section. It's called a vase filler. It comes in a box like this. And they're $10 a box, but they do go on sale. So I always try to stock up when they go on sale. And some of you guys have been using wood chips for this. And I haven't tried that yet, so that's a great option as well. You'll have to check our Facebook group to see an adorable seahorse made out of wood chips instead of the driftwood. And so we're just going to glue driftwood all over the bottom of this. It's okay if it makes it a little bit longer. I'm just trying to cover up the entire bottom part of this boat where it says beach with driftwood. And whenever you're working with these driftwood pieces, they're all different shapes and sizes. So it's a little bit like putting it together, a puzzle. And it's okay to overlap and use some pieces together just to make it work. And I do want it to look, kind of like a 3D, like full boat base with the sails being thinner, right? So I do build out a little bit with the driftwood too, just to kind of make it more three-dimensional. So just overlapping my driftwood in kind of a pattern that I'm happy with and just hot gluing that on. Now this driftwood from the Dollar Tree is kind of a light driftwood. You can always stain it if you like that better. And then for letters, I found these little red felt letters at the Dollar Tree. I thought these would be perfect for 4th of July. I'll just spell out USA with these little peel and stick felt letters on the blue sail that was already on there. So super patriotic. And it kind of works because like a sailboat would have like writing on it like that. If it was representing a country, like maybe at a boat race or something. So I'm just going to sit those on the existing blue that was on there. Now, I kind of wanted to make a flag for the top. This is what I was talking about. Like, you could use that to make the sail. See? That's also got stars on it. And these are available, it seems like, every year at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use one of the red ones with the white stars just to make a fun little flag for the top. Just a little contrasting color. And it's going to cover the little hole in the sign. Now, I was worried it wasn't going to be quite stiff enough, so I used one of the white ones too. And I'm just going to Mod Podge them together because it is like a thin paper, just to make it a little bit thicker. So we'll keep it shape, and I just hot glue that over the hole with a cute little star flag up top. Now here's the base that we're going to use to stand this up. I don't really have to do anything to it, just attach it to the back. That's going to make it stand up. I'm just going to use hot glue to do that. Super easy. And I like working with those signs from the Dollar Tree because they're nice and thick and heavy. So it's going to kind of weigh it down as well. So we have a little Driftwood USA sailboat. I told you, that Driftwood is kind of light, so I decided to go back and distress mine with some Antique Wax by Waverly. It's going to give it a stain. I think it brings out a lot of the character in the wood and makes it look a little bit more like Driftwood because Driftwood's not going to be super bleached out all the time. It's going to be like a variation of colors. So I just go over it with Antique Wax by Waverly and a brush and a baby wipe and kind of just distress that until I'm happy with it. I also thought it kind of needed a pole here at the top of the sailboat, kind of breaking up some of that blue. So I use a Dollar Tree dowel and I just cut that down to size, and we're just going to attach that on there. It's just going to kind of make it look more like a traditional sailboat. And just a fun, whimsical way to DIY one of those sailboats from the Dollar Tree. Now, I have been in trouble finding that Driftwood at Target lately. I don't know if it was just discontinued or what, so you might have to find another source, or if you don't have any, or maybe even find some from the beach. Okay, coming up next, you can use any of the wood bead garland from Dollar Tree. They had lots of them with the Shore Living line. This one I chose for this one is the ship wheel one. They are kind of square, so they're kind of weird. But we're going to try to make this the right size that I need for mine. I also had like some broken ones, so I'm kind of like piecing together two of them. They're not very long, and they do have these again this year at the Shore Living line. They're probably still available because, I don't know, they're just not very popular. I don't think people really want to go to all the trouble of painting them and stuff like that. But, we're going to leave the wood beads like natural. And we're just going to paint the ship wheel. That's going to be the easiest way. So once I've got all of my damaged ones out of there and got it the right length, I think we can paint it. And so I just go over the little ship wheel with a small brush and some of that darker blue that we were using. And then I'm going to do white for one. So we're going to do like red, white, and blue for these little ship wheels. And this is just going to be a fun little touch for the top of my cabinet. I always like to display this with seasonal decor. And it really couldn't be any easier, just adding some patriotic colors. Sometimes I like to do like the navy or the darker blues for 4th of July. Sometimes I like to do the beachier blues, but I like to hang them on top of my display cabinet here in my dining room. So quick and easy way to DIY those. It's much easier to paint the little charms on them than the wood beads themselves, but you could always do that too if you wanted it to be more colorful.